Hey guys, we're going to go over the Russian Revolution real quick. So the question you're going to ask yourself as you look through this fantastic PowerPoint is what events led Russia to exit the war? In other words, what happened with the communist revolution in Russia? Why did they have it and who was involved? We're going to look at, as you're going to look at the Russian Revolution, you're going to see that World War I showed a lot of flaws in Russia. Not everything was good. Russia always has a lot of natural resources, but the government's not always the best. People are poor. You got a very large group of poor people who are not necessarily ever thought of. You don't have a great leadership in the first place. The low morale in the soldiers, because the soldiers are the normal people and they're watching their brothers and sisters and parents and everyone of that nature get taken advantage of by the government. They're not real happy. There's food riots that begin due to the shortages, and yet again, the soldiers are everyday people. They don't necessarily want to stop it because some of the people that are looking for food are their parents. The Tsar is going to abdicate in March of 1917. This is going to be your first Russian Revolution, and Duma, which is a parliamentary government, declares a temporary government. They want to continue fighting in the World War I. They still wanted to keep going, but the military, and with all the upheaval in the government, the military started losing control of their soldiers, so people started going off on other aspects. There's a picture of the famous Romanov family. Karl Marx comes along. He wrote this thing called the Communist Manifesto, which basically was a promotion of communism. He said there was always a class struggle between the haves and have-nots, the rich and the poor. With the assistance of a dictator, the proletariats will overthrow the bourgeoisie. Proletariats are the everyday person, in case you've forgotten. The bourgeoisie are the rich. The dictator will seize control of the factors of production and make everyone equal. You'll have a classless society. This means that there won't be any bosses. Everyone is everybody's bosses, and that everybody will try to do better for the community because everybody will want to do better. Eventually, when everything works out well, the government or the dictator will disappear, and there will not be a need for government. And this will be a purely communist state at this point, and everyone is equal, and there is no government. There is your picture of the overthrow right there, where you start to look at the revolution itself. Marxist revolutionaries began revolution among the proletariats. This was the working class. Of course, the working class is going to be the first ones to start it because they're not necessarily the happiest. The Reds are the Bolsheviks. You need to know that. That's why the flag for Russia is red. Versus the Whites, who are the counter-revolutionaries loyal to the Tsar or leader, fight for the control of government. So you're basically having a civil war between the Reds, who are the Bolsheviks, and the Communist Party, and the Whites, who are the people who are in charge right then. Germany helps the Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin return to Russia from exile. Germany sort of knew that if Lenin took control, the rumor is that Lenin might not want them to keep fighting because there was a lot of fighting going on. The Bolsheviks worked to gain memberships in Duma, which are the workers, peasants, and soldiers. And there is your propaganda works. Photo of the day. Propaganda for the White Guard, for the leaders. Lenin comes to power, and he's going to promise a program of land, bread, and peace. Land, bread, and peace. Remember, we always talk about what's the one thing you can't grow more of? Land. Bread is necessary for people to become happy. He and his buddy Trotsky are going to gain control over the Soviets, and this is the Workers' Council. During November 1917, they stormed the Winter Palace and take control of the government. They gave the land to peasants, and the workers controlled the factories and mines. For the first time, they started getting some more rights. Lenin is going to end Russia's involvement in war with the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. They got tired of fighting. Russia lost more troops than anyone else during World War I, so they were sort of upset about the upheaval. He had all this infighting, had civil wars. This is the second revolution within 1 year. Russia was just tired of fighting. So what they're going to do is just say, okay, look, let's leave World War I. Unfortunately, the Russians itself weren't happy giving up land, not all of them, so they have another civil war, and the Bolsheviks establish, but the Red Army and the Communist Party wins, and this is the establishment of the Soviet Union. Lenin wanted to establish a Marxist communist state. This is a classless society with no government, but he died before this could happen. Lenin also wanted to work. He did start allowing some capitalism into there after the Civil War because everything started going downhill, so he brought in some capitalism. Russia started becoming more westernized. They started becoming on an even par with the other countries. Unfortunately, when he died, there wasn't a clear-cut leadership after him, or that had the same feelings that he did, if you remember from looking at this on your own. So this sort of stopped, and you're looking at taking over is going to be the Fantastic Person. We'll go over next. Thank you guys, and I hope this helped.